How on earth do I literally start off a story? That's the title of the video for today. I'm Colin R. Parsons. I'm the author of 15 children's books. I'm also Jake Ridge for adult crime fiction, urban fantasy, which I've written about 3 books, and I've got another 2 in the background. So in a previous video, I kind of put to you that I actually get the characters together, get the name of the character and what they look like, and work from that and weave through the story. I'm unconventional. I'm unorthodox as an author because I never plan out anything. I know, ridiculous. Most authors do. Most authors know where the background are, what all the characters are going to be, what they're going to be doing. I have written 18 books without knowing where the story's going and where the story ends up. It's just the style that I write. So, how do you start a story off? First of all, you need a pen and a paper or a pad or a laptop or a tablet or anything really that you're going to use to write. Sometimes I'll use my laptop, sometimes I'll just write down on a pad and go from there. So how do you start? Did you do Once Upon a Time? Once upon a time there was a boy called Jake. No, nobody does that anymore. That's the way stories used to be written in the 30s, 40s and 50s. I'm not saying perhaps Disney do that now with their movies, and if they bring books out for the adventures that they've got, they may start Once Upon a Time, but no author in their right mind would start off with Once Upon a Time. So how do you start? Now come on in, Colin. How do you start by writing it down? Do I put one day or something? Well, you can start anywhere. You can start simply by saying, Robert checked his pockets. Where was his wallet? He's sure he had it on him a minute ago. It's in his jacket. Thank God he found it, because if he didn't find it and had the money, he could never have gone on. No, that's off the top of my head. Where could he have gone? Where couldn't he have gone? Why did he need to go? Is he going to get on a bus, on a train, on a plane? Taxi, Uber, whatever you want to call it. There's a million things. It's always ask myself questions before I dive in to see where the story is going. I've written down a couple of scenarios which literally just did that before I started recording this video. So the first one I've got, which kind of popped in my head, was how long had she been trapped in the lift or elevator, depending what part of the world you're from. She didn't know how long she'd been there. And now she needed a pee. Now that is something, because I like to put the start of something, but with a kind of a sinister edge to it, so that you not only get pulled into the story on where I'm going, but then there's always a darker side that you think, oh, this person is in this situation now, and what are they going to do? So that was the first one. And it's not that sinister really, but it can be if you're stuck in a lift and you need to go to the toilet, and all the anxiety and stuff that builds up in you, that's something light. So what was the next one? This one I thought was a really good idea, and I may use it later on myself. He didn't recognise what part of town he was in. There you are, look, so you've got your pen and paper. He didn't recognise what part of town he was in. Added to that, he was alone. And when he looked at the end of the street, there were a gang of youngsters waiting for him. So you've got, I haven't even mentioned in this if it's daytime, if it's night, if it's early hours of the morning, if it's evening, if it's bright afternoon with perhaps not many witnesses or whatever about. You've got this guy, he's lost. He's not familiar with his surroundings. He's scared. I don't know how old he is. He could be like middle-aged. He could be a teenager himself. I don't know. But he's walking. He's there. He's on his own. And then he spots at the end of the street where he's trying to find his way home or back to his friends or his hotel or wherever he's going. There's a group of youngsters. So you've got the bewilderment of what he's lost, and he's trying to find his bearings, and then you've got the danger element of the gang at the end of the street. So Maybe the gang at the end of the street aren't dangerous. Perhaps if you walked up to them, you could say, "Oh, could you tell me where the Hotel Chaff is, please?" "Oh, it's just on the road there." But you don't know. This is this is what builds up the situation and builds up the tension and the nail-biting thrills and spills to the story. Okay, so that's just two, and the one I mentioned earlier, obviously, and this final one, just to give you a little bit of a taster. I mean, this, like I said, was off the top of my head just before I rolled the video, just to see what I could come up with. And this one is: the dust was in his eyes and in his mouth. You can imagine that kind of dust in your eyes and down your throat. His arms were weakening, and he was losing the grip with his foot. And boy, it was a long way down. So there you go, you got your pen, your paper, you're sitting in your living room, in the library, in your bedroom, in a coffee shop, on a bench somewhere, in a park, and you've got, the dust was in his eyes and in his mouth. His arms were weakening, and he was losing the grip with his foot. So where is he? Is he on the edge of a cliff? On the edge of a building? Is he hanging off somewhere? I don't even know. I'm getting with the dust and stuff that it's like a cliff. How did he get on the cliff in the first place? Why is he there? Is he there with anybody else? Has he got any kind of climbing harnesses or safety ropes or anything on there? Because in the next instance, if he slips, he's going to fall and plummet 100 feet, 200 feet, 1,000 feet. I don't know. It's just an idea that popped into my head. And this is how you can start a story off. Robert was on his scooter. He was full throttle and zooming his way through town. He was weaving in and out of the cars and buses and lorries that were trapped in a traffic backlog. He was trying to get to his interview in the centre of town. It's starting to rain, and the droplets were falling on his visor. The road was slippery. Somebody steps out. Now that is literally off the top of my head. So you can write that down and play with it and take it anywhere. It doesn't have to be once upon a time or anything. It could be something simple, like Sharon bent over to tie up her lace on the trainers. And as she looked down into the corner, she saw there was a rat under the bench, sniffing around some crumbs. When she looked to her right, there was another rat. When she looked around, she was surrounded by rats. And she was on her own in an empty train station. And then they all spotted her. I don't know where these thoughts come from, but that's what you've got to do. You've got to just think of something and then go with it, and then ask yourself a load of questions. That's how you start a story off. Wendy was walking in the garden. She just pegged out the last couple of clothes on the line. It was a beautiful day, actually, because the sun was beaming down and it was so hot she was sweating. It was the middle of summer. And that's when it happened. That's when the ground began to shake. See, you can start it from anything or nothing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd really love you to subscribe at the bottom there. Pop in a comment or ask me any questions, and maybe I'll pop another video on in this series. I think I'm calling it How on Earth. So thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.